Thank you. Welcome back. I'm your host, Master Sergeant Retired AnnaMaria Bliven, on Veterans Onward to Prosperity. And this is an episode that's unlike any of the other type of episodes. We have been bringing you information, resources, and sources by which you could build a new life, get on with your transition, and have a life worth living. But today we're doing something for fun. We're doing a little bit light stuff. We're doing like, did you know type of episode, in the fact that all of the folks that we have loved in the movies and TV shows and things like that, Jimmy Stewart, It's a Wonderful Life. He is the most famous for that. Was at one point in time bombing Europe.
Yep.
Errol Flynn, a swashbuckler in all of those swashbuckling movies, couldn't make it past MEPS. Now that's kind of funny, right? Because I'm sorry, but I don't think he had stunt doubles back then. I think he's the one who was in those scenes, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And Clark Gable. Oh, who could not forget Clark Gable? Clark Gable, the handsome, tall, dark, stranger, handsome kind of persona. Well, did you know before he hit the silver screen, he was hitting something else and bombing? And did you know too, contemporarily speaking, they all three of them were contemporaries, but Jimmy Stewart and Clark Gable may have served together in the same battalion. This is really interesting stuff. Who else do we have?
Yeah. What people don't realize is that Jimmy Stewart ended his service as a brigadier general in the Air Force, and he's the only one that's actually, I think, in the Hall of Fame for aviation.
Wow.
And he won so many medals, so many honors. He is an absolute war hero. So
So is
no,
it, excuse me, is it safe to say that in his transition from going from the Air Force to civilian life, landed him in Hollywood?
yeah, but he was in Hollywood before that. But because
Oh,
he actually won an Oscar before going to serve, and that's what makes him so different to most other. He actually put his own life at risk, and I think that's so precious. If you look at now, like for example, we were talking about these combat movies. I remember a TV series over there, which was about I think it was about the Gulf War. It was only one season. Tour of Duty, one of my favourite series is from Bravo. We're talking about MASH, one of my favourite series of all time. And you told me that the song from MASH is about suicide. And I'm
it
like,
is.
um, and also China Beach. I remember China Beach, and I love China Beach, I used to watch like and people don't realize that a lot of, like, for example, a lot of our female veterans are invisible. So I like to find out what the female veterans, and what you may not realize, during in Britain, American black GI soldiers and women were treated much fairer during World War II, because we don't believe in segregation. So we did not have segregation in the UK. So we a lot some of our females went out with black servicemen, because we don't see a difference. We see the person, and we don't see and how they were treated and how they were respected over in the UK led them to come over back to the US and demand more rights, which led to the civil rights movement, which I think, wow, that is something beautiful.
Wow, I did not know this.
And you may not know of a incident in the UK called the Bambara incident that during that American MPs actually decided to have a war with the black soldiers due to the fact that the the town or the small town that they were in, three of the pubs decided to place banners saying black servicemen only as a protest to segregation. As during World War II, there was segregation, unfortunately, that was happening. So we decided in the UK to put posters up saying black servicemen only.
Just to be funny.
Yeah, and what so to say that we don't support segregation and we don't support it. It's something that we never supported. And the history of Glasgow, where I'm from, is where the anti-apartheid movement started. So our councillor, our Lord Provost, in 1981, decided to give the key of the city of Glasgow to Nelson Mandela in Robben Island, and that started the anti-apartheid movement. So for me, it's very important that you remember that it doesn't matter how long ago someone's been to war. PTSD affects everyone. And if you look at a lot of like service people, and especially like the king of Hollywood, which was Clark Gable, I had a bit of a crush on him. Not actually, Errol Flynn. I must admit, Errol Flynn. One of my favourite movies is Robin Hood with
Oh,
Elephant,
yeah.
and I love him with Olivia they have her, and I must admit I'm not a fan of Gone with the Wind. Everybody loves it, but I try to sit and watch it, but it's too long. I don't have the attention span, but I do like his alien work, and I do like the Misfits with Marilyn Monroe, and I just think and also recently it's been quite sad for his family because his grandson died in 2019, and he was only 30 years of age, and that was Clark Gable the Third.
Wow.
So yeah, I I also believe like we had for a long time we had national service and national service were taken away. So I think I'm from Italy as well. And national you have to do a year of national service in Italy. It's, you must. I don't think I'm not too sure if it's like for girls. I know boys have to do it, and they have to do it for a year. So my brothers had to write in and say, I'm exempt because I live in the UK, but we have Italian passports. We're dual nationality. So I just love watching war movies. It's not about one of my favorite war movies is Have a Name and Pride, which is a story of Violet Sabo, who was who was um who was a spy, and there were so many civilians, so many people during World War II that did so many amazing things as well. And I love reading about Hollywood stars that you wouldn't think of being in the army. I think the guy. I think if I'm not mistaken, I, the person, one of the Star Wars actors was in the army. I think it was
As a
Admiral.
matter of fact, um, I'm looking at a website right now where it talks about Queen Elizabeth drove a first aid truck during World War
Absolutely.
II. She was in the Women's Auxiliary Territorial Service in England.
Absolutely.
So hello, talk about celebrities, and I'm also on the site for females. B. Arthur, as in
Absolutely.
the one on Golden, Maud. She was Maud,
Yeah,
right?
I love the Affleck and
B.
the lovely,
Arthur, first
yeah, and
member of the Marine Corps Women's Reserve
the
before she
lovely
was
pic,
Dorothy.
yeah, and the lovely Betty White. Is it Betty White that recently passed away? I love her. I just think she was just a top notch.
Yes, I agree. I don't know that she served in the military, but oh my gosh, if she started in Hollywood at the age of 8 and she left the scene in her late 90s, folks, that's like 90 years in an industry. That's unheard of.
Yeah, that's just she's an icon. No, I mean James Blunt, the singer James Blunt, was a captain in the British Army.
Okay. Also, Jennifer Marshall from Stranger Things
Yeah,
served in U.S. Navy for 5 years.
so
This is
many, so many. There's also now more politicians and female politicians in America that have served, which is can only be a good thing.
the one of the women that is an actress in Army Wives. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce her name, but Zule Henio or
I
Zuli.
yeah, Army Wives, that's a good one.
Yes, yes, and she served in the U.S. Army for 3 years. So what we're getting at is the fact that no, you don't necessarily have to transition from military and go on to the silver screen in Hollywood, but that it's just kind of interesting that
Yeah,
someone like even Wonder Woman, Gail Gadot, served
yeah,
in the Israeli Defense Forces for 2 years.
yeah. They have to serve for at least 2 years, and it's really well. Wonder Woman, she is amazing. I love her, and she's actually really humble and really lovely as well, and really down to earth. And that's what.
Dr. Ruth, Dr. Ruth Westheimer. She's Dr. Ruth. Everyone knows her as Dr. Ruth, the sex therapist. She trains as a sniper in the what they call the IDF, which is, I guess, the Israeli Defense Force.
Oh my!
I know.
I don't want to. I don't want to meet her in the dark alley. I'm running away.
Let's hear it for a female veteran power. Female veteran power.
Absolutely. It's about empowering young women to believe in themselves. And I think it's really important, like, that young, but we also have to remember the people we have to remember the families of the army, of those in the army, navy, and the armed forces, and they serve as well. And it's really important that we recognize them. And because also during World War II, there was over 100,000 war brides that came over to the US. Whereas 2 million, 2 million Americans came over to Europe, and some were stationed in Europe, some stayed in the UK, and I'll be honest, without America, I don't think we would have won the war. Yeah, we did 2 years um, fighting them before America entered, but I don't think Hitler realized. I think Hitler underestimated Great Britain's resolve, and I think he was fighting too many wars on too many fronts.
Yeah, this is true. Harry Belafonte served in the U.S. Navy during World War II. Kirk Douglas fought during World War II.
So many.
Adam Driver. Now we know Adam Driver. He's contemporary.
Yeah.
Before he joined Star Wars, he was in the Marine Corps.
Yep. That's the one I'm reading. A Marine Corps.
Clint Eastwood he was drafted into the Army during the Korean War, and he was in the Korean War.
Elvis Presley, did he not serve?
Elvis Presley, yes. Morgan Freeman was enlisted in the Air Force.
Yep.
James Earl Jones.
Oh, I love his voice.
He joined the Army during the Korean War. Chuck Norris joined the Air Force. Elvis Presley, yes, we were just talking about him. He was drafted into the Army. Tom Selleck also served in the Army National Guard. Wow, that's pretty cool. So this episode is all about the celebrity status of those that served in the military.
Absolutely. There's so many of those who could have dodged the draft, but they didn't. They chose.
No.
They chose to serve.
Right.
It's not. War is not pretty. War is brutal. No, there's no winners in war.
No, this is true. But in doing your duty, you do what you need to.
Absolutely. You do your duty to protect freedoms. There's countries outside the UK and the US that don't have the freedoms that you and I have. There's women out there that would not be able to be educated. There are certain women in the Middle East that cannot sing on their own in public. It's not allowed. Or certain women are not allowed to vote. That's wrong. And it's only recently that they're being allowed to drive. And certain women do get killed for civil rights. Absolutely. And there's also, like, for example, like we talked about in the past, human trafficking as well. And there's lots of celebrities that are stopping that. And that is something you and I are passionate about. People don't realise a lot of ex-army female army veterans have PTSD, can end up human trafficked, and it can happen. People say to me, no, that's not going to happen. Yes, it can happen. There's so many.
This day and age, I know, we really have to be aware of a lot of things, and not just be aware, but know that there is a part that everyone can play. Maria, this has been awesome. I mean, like I said to my audience, this has been a different type of show that we have been used to doing. But hey, it's a lighter, but it's also an awareness thing. It's also, we talked about a few things. We talked about several stars, people that we're very well acquainted with, and how they, before they came to Hollywood, served in the military. We talked about, too, the fact that there are some issues that are going on today for military transitioning, and we don't want to just skirt those issues anymore. We want to address them, and we're going to do that right after this message.